reality is a dream of abandoned spaces. A fantastical facsimile of a luxurious virtual realm abandoned by its creators and left to glitch and rot. I've played through most of this game a few times now. I still have yet to completely finish it, as I'm not the greatest at platforming puzzles, but something that always struck me since noticing it on a second playthrough is the game's intro screen. You are immediately greeted by a collage of bright, 90s nostalgia that would fit right in on a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper, beckoning you into the game's aesthetic world. And yet, if you turn around, if you look behind you, you see it. The reality behind broken reality. The drab colors, the boarded up window, the shabby flooring that may be unfortunate carpet or vinyl faux tile in need of a good mopping. This is presumably the residence of the protagonist of Broken Reality. This is the real world that faces you should you choose to not enter the decayed but loving embrace of Natum. And so, with only a dismal alternative at your back, you enter the game within the game. You enter the illusion of luxury. Released in November 2018, developed by Dynamic Media Triad and published by Digital Tribe, I would describe Broken Reality as a Vaporwave-inspired adventure game with platforming elements. And whether it means to or not, I believe the game stumbled onto a very unique subject which ties it that much closer to the media movement that spawned it. So, with that in mind, the first question I feel I should answer is, what is Vaporwave? Okay, so this is actually a really complicated question that has been answered by people way smarter than me, who are much more directly involved in the subculture than I am. I am basically just a basement-dwelling creepy stalker of Vaporwave. A constant fringe lurker, if you will. So this is going to be super brief, and due to that brevity may come off as a little inaccurate, so bear with me. I will absolutely put links to a bunch of other cool videos in the description, so be sure to check those out. Here we go! Vaporwave is a microgenre of electronic music which spun off of C-punk and developed into its own artistic movement sometime around the early 2010s. The subculture itself is often associated with satire of consumer capitalism, which features a heavy focus on nostalgia, surrealism, and memified takes on pop culture, with special attention paid to anime and anime aesthetics. Broken Reality as a game reinforces this, not just through aesthetics, but through core gameplay. You are tasked with acquiring likes, moving up in rank, which in turn improves your overall popularity, thus granting you further and further access to the game's available excesses. And yet, it's all fake. There's not really any other players here. Even the NPCs you are, in theory, impressing with your acquiring of social clout have no interest in interacting with you. And yet you soldier on, driven to uncover the mysteries of Natum and to see exactly what heights you can achieve within this vibrant, lonely world. To me, there is no starker contrast between the real world and the virtual world than the game's quit screen and the penthouse of the D-Top building in GeoCities, the game's hotspot for creme de la creme influencers. It's all constructed to give this illusion of luxury, an illusion of status. It's a perfect encapsulation of what many try and present to the internet at large, and an homage to how the Vaporwave subculture will center around something grand gone to ruin, be that a chipped and faded bust, or the ghostly emptiness of a dead mall. Hell, there's even a Vaporwave musical artist called Luxury Elite. Even now, I sit here in a mostly furnished one-bedroom duplex with cracks in the paint and exposed Romex wiring, presenting myself as a queen. Hell, if I wanted to, I could take it a step further. Money back, money back, money back, money back, money back, money back, yeah. What Broken Reality does, through the lens of Vaporwave, is something I think people have been trying to do since the implementation of the internet in the mainstream. Something unique to the internet experience. The ability to fake luxury. The internet has made it easy to build a persona outside oneself. You can be anything if you present that persona believably enough, from a different gender, to that which you identify in real life, to a different occupation, to even a different species. You can pretend to have money on the internet while living in a one-bedroom shack with no plumbing. Think Ready Player One, except don't. We don't fuck with that here. From staged social media posts, badly photoshopped images, elaborate VR avatars, or even a fleet of space cruisers, there is no shortage of people who seem very interested in garnering attention and clout through their online presence, no matter how true to life that presence may be. Much like Vaporwave is a nostalgia-tinged culture, the online presentation of luxury seems to stem from an inability to self-actualize in the physical realm. Unable to afford that sleek sports car or diamond watch? Unable to be a dragon? People will turn to digital alternatives to live that fantasy. There are many articles out there positing that purchasing and owning luxury goods is an emotion-based response, much like Vaporwave is a deeply emotion-based movement. Luxury items providing an overall sense of accomplishment or pride to Vaporwave's uncanny ability to evoke nostalgia and longing. Now, this is the part of the video where one might try and make a claim as to how right or wrong this whole phenomena is, make a blanket judgment call based on their own morality. But I'm not going to do that. Trying to say this type of indulgence is wrong smacks of the same out-of-touch posturing as TV will rot your brain, or reading comics will get you hooked on that reefer. The fact is, the fantasy is already here. It's been here, baked in from the day you could use dial-up to log onto a forum and claim to be somebody else. Also, look at me, that would be hypocritical at best. No, I think some level of fantasy and escapism is good. It's why we enjoy engaging with fiction at all. It can be a wonderful tool for self-reflection and discovery. But what Broken Reality and quite a lot of Vaporwave art seems to ask is, with such a blatant veneer of consumerism, is that even possible? I guess the real question I'd posit is this: what is the void you're trying to fill, and why are you so sure this fantasy will fill it? And, under current prevailing circumstances, can that void be filled at all? To quote the article Buying a Dream, The Psychology of Luxury by Annabelle Maldonado, as philosopher Elaine de Botton has said, good materialism is when you located objects that seem to capture your identity at its best and finest point. In a space as constantly visible and utterly global as the internet, why would you not be driven to present yourself as your best self on your best day every day? Twitter aside. In acquiring luxury in a digital space, you are no longer burdened with the financial inconvenience a similar item might impose in real life. You want those really expensive athletic shoes? That designer handbag? Well, if you give one to your avatar, then you may enjoy the fantasy of owning it without having to break the bank on it. Although, some companies who predominantly operate in a digital space already may have missed the memo. Really, Blizzard? $30 for a freaking bat? A digital bat that isn't real? Do you know what I could buy in real life instead of your freaking overpriced mount? Are you kidding me? But what if you could build your luxury item? You not only receive the self-esteem boost of obtaining a luxury, you also receive the rush of accomplishment from showing off a legitimate skill, be that modeling or texturing, or using pre-made assets to construct something unique to you. What if you could build your dream home and live there as often as the real world would allow? This is the boy mayor of Second Life, a character created as part of the Monster Factory series hosted by Griffin and Justin McElroy. And in this segment of the Monster Factory episodes this character is from, we see the boy mayor exploring the abandoned Colorado dream home of an unknown Second Life user. And I want you to really think about this. Think about the thought and effort that went into building this area. The water slide for a pool most people could never afford, let alone maintain with most modern work schedules. The facsimile of a view that can cost millions of dollars to obtain in reality, should you not have the know-how and skills to invest in a cheaper option. This fantasy provided someone with an escape at some point. The fact that it's seemingly abandoned now due to unknown circumstances only ties it further to its distant IRL cousin, the Dead Mall. And that's kind of what I love most about Vaporwave, and what I think keeps me coming back to exploring the relatively small but infinitely charming, though sometimes horrifying space Broken Reality provides. It makes me feel like when I was a kid, staring up at the TV and watching commercial after commercial telling me that someday, when I was big enough, when my job paid enough, I could have everything I wanted. Shopping sprees at the mall, bottomless closets, Disneyland vacations, a trendy loft apartment, and happiness brought on by just buying the right soft drink. And obviously I am painfully aware now that that is not reality, but there's still an allure to the fantasy of it. Speaking of which, I absolutely have a sense of pride in making the cringe model myself. I had virtually no experience before crafting it, but with the help of tutorials from wonderful channels like Argamowitch and Fia's virtual reality show, I'm able to be talking to you here. Like this. I bought clothes I could probably never afford and staged myself in front of this totally cool house I will probably never lay eyes on. But as the real world continues to become more and more unstable in a variety of new and interesting ways, I have to ask myself, but for how long? How long am I going to be able to perpetuate this fantasy? And is VTubing in and of itself not a luxury? Or at least the illusion of one?